Hello everyone, back to today's third video. We're looking at the GFS Ensembles for today's third video, running through each individual ensemble member to see what it's showing going up towards the middle part of February. A little while since we've done one of these ensemble updates. The first video today was the seasonal model roundup for the spring, and you can find that now on the spring updates and forecast page. There's a written post that goes with that as well, so if you would like to have a look at that, you certainly can do that on the spring updates page. Get 11 long range models together and see what they're all showing. Also today we released a Sunday eclectic musing where we got several things together, such as what's happening in the stratosphere, the Arctic Constellation, North Atlantic Constellation, QBO, what's happening in the oceans, Gazov's solar tracker, and weather next week to 10 days. Got it all together, had a look at that. You can find that video here on the home page. Just scroll down the page a bit and it's underneath the link ads. As I say, this video is going to have a look at the GFS Ensemble, so I'll go on with that view in a second. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all pages. If you have a browse, you should click through links. You're going to help us page website. Thanks so much for doing that. This is the latest GFS operational run, just to set the scene. This is for a week's time, so the 5th of February, when we're in an unsettled pattern. Low pressure coming off the Atlantic actually looks a little bit stormy. As we run through into the second week of February, what happens with this particular run, midday run of the GFS, is that heights rise to the northeast across Scandinavia, backing into western Russia. Low pressure is weakening in the Atlantic, so eventually we do get winds going into the east, so we finish up looking very blocked there. By the middle of February, that's Valentine's Day. Of course, we've got high pressure over Scandinavia, go back into Russia, also extending up into Greenland, and we're in a proper easterly as well. That will be dragging in cold air with those easterly winds. But how much support does that scenario have from the GFS Ensembles? Let's have a look at them right now. So this is the control run of the GFS Ensemble. So this is at a slightly lower resolution compared to the operational run, which is the one we're just looking at, but it's a higher resolution to all the other GFS Ensemble members. Essentially, this was the operational GFS until last year, when it was downgraded to the control run. So this is how we start off on the 6th of February. We're going to look at the extended part of the GFS, because that's when we might have some blocking coming through. So 6th of February, low pressure is out to the west of the country on the control run of the GFS, and we keep it very unsettled there, running into the second week of February as well. However, low pressures are taking increasingly a southerly track, and heights are trying to rise up to the northeast. In fact, we do pull in a little bit of an easterly wind there on the 13th of February, albeit nothing like the extent of blocking that we're just looking at on the operational run, and eventually we are trying to revert back to a southwesterly there by the 14th. So the control GFS does not have that level of blocking that we just saw on the operational GFS. What about ensemble member number 1? This is how we start off on the 6th of February. Low pressure is racing in from off the Atlantic, and this one just stays very unsettled throughout the run, really up to Valentine's Day, 14th of February. It looks wet, windy, and quite stormy with ensemble member number 1. Ensemble member number 2 on the 6th of February, starting off unsettled. We are trying to raise heights to the east of us, but this area of low pressure in the Atlantic looks quite dominant, and that races in, bringing more wet weather. However, that low pressure is diving southwards, and eventually we do finish up with pressure rising across Scandinavia. Yes, we are getting the winds into the east, so that one looks like it's going in the same direction as the operational GFS. Ensemble member number 3 looks stormy through the end of the first week of January, and that unsettled weather continues into the second week of January. Nothing particularly cold doing there, although heights are trying to rise to the east of us, but they don't really get winds into the east with ensemble member number 3. Ensemble member number 4 is raising pressure over Scandinavia. Here we go up to the 10th of February, and yes, heights are rising across Scandinavia, with this low pressure in the Atlantic being blocked and being pushed down seemingly towards the Bay of Biscay. And we finish up, yes, we are putting in easterly winds there. They will be bringing in, if it comes off like that, they will be bringing in cold air from off the continent, and there will be some snow showers probably coming in with that as well. What about ensemble member number 5? Stormy on the 6th of February. Really, really stormy there with that one. And it stays unsettled with winds remaining from the Atlantic there right up to the middle of February with ensemble member number 5. Number 6 shows, again, a stormy start and staying very unsettled into the second week of February as well. Over time, you notice heights are rising to the north. This one has it more across Greenland with this low pressure starting to be pushed ever south. So by the end of the run, mid-February, we are beginning to bring colder air into the northern part of the country. Let's have a look at ensemble member number 7. And again, stormy for the 6th of February. Low pressure is dominating. Again, that low pressure is being forced ever further south by heights rising to the north there. By the 11th of February, pressure is rising up to the north, and that's turning the winds into the east, so it becomes drier and colder there through the second week of February with ensemble member number 7. Ensemble member number 8 on the 6th of January. This one looks a bit different. Deep storm system in the middle of the Atlantic, but pressure is rising to the east. Which way is this going to go? Well, we find, yes, the high pressure over Scandinavia is winning the battle here, turning the winds into the east by the 11th of February. There's a deep cold pool sitting to the east as well. So that one really is a cold one. Cold easterly winds coming in there through the second week of February. That would bring snow to the south with ensemble member number 8. So the operational GFS with its idea of easterly winds by mid-month is not unsupported here so far with the GFS ensembles. Number 9 has a deep storm system coming through around 7th, 8th, and that continues into the second week of February as well. Stays very unsettled and no high pressure across Scandinavia with this one, so that's just fairly mildish for the second week of February and quite wet and windy. Number 10 looks like that, so it's very unsettled again, and but as we go through into the second week of February, pressure is rising to the north. Look at this, yes, high pressure is building across Scandinavia, trying to get winds into the east, not the easterly winds that we see or we saw with ensemble member number 8, but even so, it is showing high pressure building to the east there with number 10. Number 11 looks stormy into the second week of the month and second week of February, and it stays unsettled and generally mild, Atlantic driven with ensemble member number 11. Number 12 is showing stormy conditions into the second week of February, and again, staying generally Atlantic driven. Heights are trying to rise over the continent, but really we stay on the milder side of things there with ensemble member number 12. Number 13 looking stormy for the 6th of February, and this one's building pressure across Scandinavia, again trying to get winds into the east by the 12th of February, and we finish up not really putting anything particularly cold with the air, but it is looking increasingly blocked there with pressure rising not only across the continent but also across Greenland as well by the 14th of February. So that one is going into a blocked scenario very gradually. Number 14 is stormy into the second week of February. This one, it just keeps it Atlantic driven right way through to the middle part of the month. Nothing particularly blocked with that one. Low pressure is dominating. Number 15 shows again low pressure racing in to the start of the second week of February, but again this one's building pressure across Scandinavia quite strongly, and the wind or the flow is going into the east. Nothing particularly cold being dragged in up to that point, but again it's still the scenario. There are several options for this to build pressure over Scandinavia through the second week of February. This might be in response to that stratospheric warming that we've been talking about. Number 16 again excuse me, we've got low pressure coming in off the Atlantic with this one. It's just Atlantic driven from the 6th through to the 14th of February. Number 17 is looking stormy as we go into the start of the second week of February. Will it do anything cold? Not particularly, just stays unsettled and Atlantic driven. Some of these areas of low pressure have got quite cold air within them, by the way, coming out of Greenland, so they're not very mild scenarios. Most of these have got chilly air. It's just whether it's going to be chilly and Atlantic driven or whether it gets properly blocked with high pressure over Scandinavia. Number 18 looks stormy into the start of the second week of February. Eventually that low pressure is moving away to the south. We're trying to build pressure over Scandinavia, not quite pulling it off, but it's not far away from turning things cold there with ensemble member 18. Penultimately, ensemble member number 19 shows that we're Atlantic driven and stormy as we start off on the 6th, and we keep it unsettled really through up towards the middle part of the month. No blocking with that one. And then finally, number 20 looking stormy on the 6th of February. That low pressure remains in control throughout, going up to the middle part of the month. That one is just Atlantic driven. And although pressure is rising a little bit across Scandinavia, it's not enough to get the wind into the east and force this low pressure down into the south. So obviously, because we're talking about the extended part of the GFS model and ensembles, there's nothing definitive showing up in terms of cold weather, but the hints are there that the second week of February is our next opportunity, possibly to raise heights across Scandinavia, break out of the Atlantic-driven weather that's going to take us through the first week of February, and possibly bring us something colder from the east as we're going up into the middle part of February. So here we go again, essentially. We've been here several times this winter and we've not been able to pull an easterly off. However, we haven't had a stratospheric warming such as we're having right now before these other easterly attempts, so maybe this will be the one that we manage to pull off. It's going to be an interesting ride over the next few days to see how this develops. We'll be keeping you updated at GazWeatherViz, obviously, over the next few days. So just keep checking back for more. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.